Hey guys, welcome back to Crafts Go Bloom. My name is Krista, and today we're going to be making this adorable beaver amigurumi pattern. I'm going to be slowing down and explaining the stitches for a beginner, so even if you're new to amigurumi, you should have this finished within the hour. If you'd like a PDF version of this pattern, you can also find that link down below. And this comes in a pattern 2-pack with the beaver and groundhog. And at the time of filming this, it is almost Groundhog Day, so that's going to be perfect. So I'm going to set the groundhog aside and we're going to focus on the beaver today. And the way this pattern is going to work is you're going to see the words go across the screen, and I will break it down step by step of what we're doing for each round of the pattern. That's how an amigurumi is made. You make a circle and you go in rounds. And if I'm going too fast for you, please feel free to just pause the video, work through the rest of that round, and then meet us back when you're finished with that round, and we'll keep going together. So let's take a look at our supplies for today. First up, we've got our different yarns. I'm going to be making the beaver today in this Bernat blanket yarn. The example that I have is made in Big Twist Posh, and I've seen them made in Parfait Chunky as well, and this pattern works well for any of those yarns. If you're new and you're working in acrylic yarn, it will also work out, but you're going to end up with something that is closer to like a golf ball size. It's going to be great for keychains. So up first, I've got Bernat Blanket in the color taupe. Now, where I'm located in the US, I can typically only find this on Amazon. It is sort of a unicorn color to be able to find brown, but the only place I can find it is Amazon. We're also going to be using some Bernat Baby Blanket in the color white for the little teeth detail. And lastly, for the tail and the feet, I've got Bernat Blanket in the color coal. Some other supplies that we're going to need today are some polyfill stuffing. And that's the brand that I use. You can use whatever stuffing you have. I buy this in a 10-pound box. I'll insert a photo of here, and I keep this off camera because of how crinkly it is. You're also going to want a tapestry needle, a stitch marker of some kind, a sharp pair of scissors, and for this animal, I'm going to be using a safety nose along with safety eyes. And this works exactly like the safety eyes, if you've ever seen those before. And here are the safety eyes I'm using. I'm going to be using 12mm eyes today. And they come with these little plastic washers that we're going to slide on the back of there and snap in place. These are not recommended for any kids under 3, or really any child that's still putting toys in their mouth, no matter how old they are. These could definitely be a choking hazard, so if you're giving this to a child or selling it to younger children, I suggest doing a yarn nose or yarn eyes. And for today, I'm going to be using my size 6.5 crochet hook because that's what works best for me and my tension with this particular Bernat blanket yarn. I used a size 4.5 hook when I made this one in Big Twist Posh. What I'm really looking for is whatever hook is going to mix with your tension so that we get a really tight cloth that is made and there aren't huge holes and we don't see any stuffing sticking out. And when I use different colors of Bernat blanket, sometimes that means I'm using a size 6 crochet hook. It really just depends on the thickness of different colors. We're going to be starting today's pattern with a magic ring. The way I make a magic ring is by laying the yarn across my hand and pinching it with my thumb. Go across the back of my first 3 fingers and wrap it around. I pinch that X, grab it with my pinky. Then I'm going to take my hook and go under the first loop, grab the second, and twist it. And then I'm going to grab this yarn that's over here next to my pinky, pulling at the same time and pulling that yarn through. And then I just untangle my ends and I've got my magic ring that we can work into. Absolutely feel free to pause and go back and rewatch that part until you get that down. I can do it without looking now, so if it seems very hard, just keep trying. I promise you can get it. So for round 1, we are going to single crochet 6 into our magic ring. The way you're going to do that is insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to keep going until we have 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to pull on this tail of our magic ring, being careful not to pull so tight that you snap your yarn. You're just trying to close up that hole in the center. And then we're going to put our stitch marker in the last stitch of the round. That way we know where we're stopping when we get to the end of the next round. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch, repeating that pattern 6 times for a total of 12 stitches. And an increase just means that we're going to do 2 single crochets into the same space. So insert that hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Insert your hook into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we've got 2 stitches instead of 1 as we're making that face bigger and bigger. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, 10, remove my stitch marker, 11, and 12. And then put that stitch marker back in there. For round 3, we're going to do an increase and then 1 single crochet and repeat that pattern around for a total of 18 stitches. So we're going to do an increase in the first space, and then in the next one we're only going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to keep repeating that. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now, mine is starting to cup a little bit and round out, which is okay. That's what we want to have happen. But this is the inside where your tail is hanging out, so you can pop that out whenever it will work for you. And we're going to be always working around the outside of the project. For round 4, we're going to increase and then single crochet 2 6 times for a total of 24 stitches. So we've got our increase and then a single crochet here and another single crochet. And then we're going to keep repeating that. So we've got 4 stitches, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. For round 5, I'm going to put the directions here on the screen and let you look at those for a second, but then I'm just going to break this down bit by bit, and we're going to just do one little section of it at a time. So the first thing we need to do is single crochet 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Up next, we're going to be making this first ear here, and we're going to do that by doing 3 double crochets all in the next stitch. So the way you make a double crochet is by yarning over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and pull it through the first 2, yarn over again and pull it through the last 2. And that's 1 double crochet. So let's do that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you need to make a 3rd one in that same space. And next we're going to do 6 single crochets, and you want to make sure that you're pulling those double crochets over out of your way and going into the next stitch. Sometimes they can lay down a little bit and hide where you need to be going. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to make our second ear the exact same way that we made the first ear. We're going to do 3 double crochets all into that same next stitch. And for the last stitch of the round, we're going to do a single crochet in the back loops only. And if you're unfamiliar with that, you can stick your hook in just the same way we have been this whole time. And you can see that V of stitch on your hook. The yarn sort of makes a V. And you can pull those 2 pieces apart there. And so we want to go into the back one only and do 1 single crochet. Now it's kind of the same thing for round 6. The instructions are going to seem a little long, but we're just going to break it down and go part by part. So the first thing we're going to do is single crochet 15 in the back loops only. And what this is doing is creating sort of a line along the bottom of the chin that gives us some separation from the head and the body, so it looks like it has a little face sticking out. Remember, these are all back loops only until you get to that ear. Now for the ear, we're going to stop crocheting at all in the 2 loops that we would normally crochet in. We're going to flip this over and we're going to find these 2 bars on the back here, the back bottom loops of that middle double crochet. And we're going to single crochet 1 there. And then we're going to skip those double crochets in the front, counting them 1, 2, 3, and make sure you find that next single crochet in between the ears. And we're going to do 6 single crochets in the back loops only. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And really counting those is important to make sure that you're not getting any of those double crochets. We want to do the same thing here. We're going to flip this over and get those two loops that are sticking out there and do a single crochet. And then on the very last stitch, we're just going to do a single crochet, but it's not in the back loops only anymore. We're just going in both loops like normal. We already did that one in the back loops only on the last round. And you should be able to start seeing that little line right there. That's just giving us a little definition between the face and the body. Now for round 7, we're going to start by single crocheting 4. 1, 2, 3. And then on that 4th one though, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to stop in the middle of that single crochet. And I'm going to grab my black yarn and we're going to yarn over and pull through with black. And that's how we're going to change colors. And I'm going to be crocheting over both the black tail and the brown working yarn that is still attached to the skein. So up next we've got a bobble stitch. And the way you do that, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now we have 2 loops on our hook, and we want to keep repeating that pattern. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to keep repeating that until we have 5 loops on our hook. So now I have 4 and 5. And then you're going to pull your yarn through to finish the bobble. You're going to yarn over and pull through. but I want to put the black down and pick the brown back up, yarn over, and pull through. And then we're going to single crochet 4. Same thing though, when we get to that 4th one, we're going to switch back to black. Find that black, carry it over, and then again, I'm going to put my brown working tail in the front, and we're going to make a bobble stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and keep doing that until you have 5 loops on your hook. And that is giving this beaver those little black feet that he has. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through with the brown. And to finish this round, we're going to do 14 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Starting to get that black yarn running into me. Just flip that project around and straighten things out for yourself. 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14. And then we're going to stop and pull out our working yarn and work on the face. I like to do this now so that I can tie everything in knots inside and not have to weave in any ends. Plus, now that we've got our ears and our feet, we can definitely center our eyes and nose and things. Now we're going to add the eyes between rounds 2 and 3 with about 3 to 4 stitches in between. So the way we're going to find that is by looking at this center ring here. That was our magic circle. That's round 1, round 2, and round 3. And we're putting our eyes in between round 2 and 3. And we want to go about 4 stitches apart. I'm not putting them in permanently yet until we make sure that we're happy with the placement of everything and how they line up together. You can also go in between 2 and 3, and I'm kind of looking for that middle double crochet in the ear and going straight towards the center from that. Okay, I think I'm happy with those eyes. Let's stick that nose in. If you're using a safety nose, it is tempting to put it in that magic circle, but if you do, it's going to be up too high. So you actually have to put it right under the magic circle. All right, there we go. I think we're making some progress. I'm happy with the placement of those, so I'm going to go ahead and put the backs in these eyes. And you just slide that on there, and then push until you feel it click. It doesn't get picked up by the camera, but if you're doing it in person, a lot of times you can hear them click also. Oh, you might have heard that one. All right, up next, I'm going to get the back on this nose, and I'm going to thread my tapestry needle with the scrap of white that we need to make the teeth. Some tips for embroidering these teeth. I am going to go from the inside of the project, but I am aiming for this spot right here, right at the tip of that nose. So I'm coming out at the tip of that nose, and I'm going to be sewing over rounds 2 and 3. I'm going straight down, and then I'm going to try and find the exact place that I just came out. So we're really just making 2 stitches in the same spot. We just want them to sit right next to each other, to be 2 little lines to make these little beaver teeth. If you separate them, it starts to look a little bit like a walrus. It starts to look a little funny. So we want to just go in and out of the exact same spaces, and that's going to give us the little beaver mouth. Then we're going to flip this over and tie these together, and I have more yarn than I need here, so I'm going to cut some of that off to get it out of my way. Now I want to tie these into a couple of knots, but that first knot we tie, we want to make sure that that is really loose in there, and just gently sitting where we want it to go. If we tie it too tight, we're going to pull the teeth on the front and they're going to get all distorted and they won't still have that great shape that we just went all that work to make. The subsequent knot very tightly. And there we go. Now we're going to be keeping the black yarn attached because we still need to use that to make feet later, and eventually we will actually use it to make the tail as well. So go ahead and just leave that there. You can let that hang, and as we're working around, go ahead and just twist your project if it gets in your way. For round 8, we're going to single crochet 24 all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. And when you get to those bobble stitches, make sure that you're crocheting in just those top 2 loops that line up with all the other single crochets that you're making in the brown. We don't want to take too much of that bobble away from the foot, or we're going to have a foot that looks too small if you crochet too far into the bobble. See, we're at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you know what, my counting is off, 23, 24, because I know I have the right number of stitches in my round. So definitely double check. Make sure you've got the right number of stitches if you were counting along with me. Now for round 9, we're going to do the exact same thing and single crochet 24 around. So I'm going to do a time lapse and speed that one up. And you'll have a total of 24 stitches. For round 10, we're going to be putting those back feet in, and we're going to start by single crocheting 4 in the brown, 2, 3, and then just like earlier, we're going to stop on the 4th single crochet and grab that black working yarn. And we're going to yarn over with that and pull through and do a bobble stitch. Oops. And as I'm doing this, I can see if I made my bobble stitch right here, it might look like it's lining up at first, but if we really lay this down and look, the eyes are here, the feet are here, I need the back feet to be here. So I actually need to do one more single crochet in the brown, and I'm going to be doing 5 single crochets so that I can get that back foot to line up. So if you're having the same problem, go ahead and just replace a single crochet for a bobble, basically. Just going to switch them one for one. And then we're going to do another bobble. Now I always say in my patterns, especially with the second row of feet, you just need to play around with it and figure out how your feet are going to line up with the front feet. If you are yarning under instead of yarning over, they will never end up in the exact spot. Once you get back there, everything will be just a little bit off. And that's okay. Just move the foot on over. It's totally fine. And then we're going to double check and we're going to line up this foot also. And it looks like I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets in between like I'm supposed to. And then my second foot is going to line up just fine. You can also need to move your feet if you just have different tension, or maybe you're using a different hook size, you have a different color yarn that's a different thickness. A lot can play into that, so I don't get too wrapped up in it. I just go ahead and move the feet and make it look cute. And once you're done with that second bobble, same thing, you're going to want to yarn over and pull through with brown. And if you're going exactly according to the pattern, you have 14 single crochets left to get around to your stitch marker. I will only have 13 left because I have an extra single crochet over at the beginning of the round. So you just need to make sure that when you get to the end, you have 2 bobble stitches and 22 single crochets for a total of 24 stitches. For round 11, we're going to single crochet 24 for a total of 24 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, making sure again that you're just going through those top 2 loops that you should be going through of the bobble. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you happen to have one bobble that suddenly takes a big bite out of it, it might be because you're grabbing too many loops there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, and 24. For round 12, we're going to invisible decrease and then single crochet 2, and we're going to repeat that pattern 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. If you've never done an invisible decrease before, you're going to go in the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through those, yarn over, pull through 2. So it's very similar to doing a single crochet, but you're doing it through the front loops of the next 2 stitches, and you're turning those 2 stitches into 1 as we round out and close up the back. So we did our invisible decrease, and then we just do 2 regular single crochets, and then we're going to repeat that. So we're going to go in the front loops only of the next 2, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Next up, for round 13, we're going to do an invisible decrease and then 1 single crochet. And we're going to repeat that pattern 6 times for a total of 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now pull out that working yarn so that we can stuff the body. I'm going to make sure I put my stitch marker back in there. And as I'm stuffing this, I want to make sure that I tuck in any tails that I have sticking out that are actually a tail that we're not working with anymore. So that can go down in there, but you want to make sure that you're holding the black working yarn and the brown working yarn out of your way and you're not pushing those down in there. I'm done stuffing the body, and I know that I'm going to want a little bit more stuffing, so as I close this up, I'm going to add a little bit more as needed, so go ahead and do that if you need to. For round 14, we're going to invisible decrease slip stitch 5 times for a total of 5 stitches. And the way you do that is exactly like an invisible decrease that we did earlier. You're going to put your hook in the front 2 loops of the next 2 stitches, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that is helping so that the back of the project doesn't come to so much of a point. It's going to help it lay nice and flat. Pull that through. So we grab the front 2 loops. We yarn over and we pull through. Now see, I'm starting to create a little bit of a cavity there where we need a little more stuffing. Now on this 5th one that we're about to do, we're going to switch to the black. So I'm going to go in those front loops, but then I'm going to yarn over with the black and pull through all 3. I know we haven't made it around to our stitch marker yet. You can actually just take that out. And we're going to work on making the tail. Keep leaving this brown attached for now. Don't do anything to that. And in the black, we're going to start by chaining 7. And to chain, you're just going to yarn over and pull through. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then starting in the 3rd chain from the hook, you're going to go back down the hook and do 4 triple crochets and then 1 double crochet. So I know that it's going to be difficult to see these black stitches on camera, but you're going to count those V's down from your hook. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. So we're going into that 3rd one. And to make a triple crochet, you're going to yarn over twice before we get started. And then double check here. 1, 2, 3. Black yarn can be hard to see what's happening even in person. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So basically the same thing as a double, you're just doing everything one more time. So we're going to do 4 of those going down the tail. So I've got 1, 2, and each time you're moving on to the next stitch in the tail. 3, oops, got to yarn over twice. 4, and on that last stitch in the tail, you're going to do a double crochet. So you're just going to yarn over once, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through twice. And now we're going to do a slip stitch into the space that we started working from. And with a slip stitch, you're just going to yarn over and pull it through everything. And then we're going to chain 1 to finish off, and we're going to cut a long tail on both of these colors. And then go ahead and pull that black yarn through. We're done with your hook. And we're going to need your tapestry needle. The first thing that I'm going to do is tie these 2 tails in a knot, trying to keep the black with the black and the brown with the brown so that I'm not mixing their colors up at all. But that's how I'm going to secure them just a little bit. Now, the black yarn here, I'll probably tie this a couple of times, and then I'm going to stuff that inside. And stick that down in the stuffing. And then we're going to get this brown yarn on our tapestry needle. And then you're going to weave this through the front loops only of all of these brown single crochets. And cinching that down as you go around. being careful that you're not sticking your needle into that tail at all. And that's going to help close up this hole at the back. And I'm going to go through the tail just a little bit, like where that stitch, where right here, where the tail is like meeting the body. And then I like to go back down inside the project, come out over here on the side, and I'm going to weave my end in through the loops of those single crochets. But I'm just trying to sink that yarn in there. I'm not trying to pull it too tight. If you do that, you will end up with a very obvious line in the project. Especially with blanket yarn, I find that this just holds that tail in place and it doesn't end up going anywhere. And then once I reach the other side, that's good enough. I'm going to cut that tail. And that does it, guys. We've made our very own amigurumi beaver in less than an hour. I think this turns out pretty adorable in both of these sizes. I just love that little face. And don't forget that this is a 2-pack if you want the PDF pattern, and it comes with the groundhog as well. And I've also got a video tutorial for the groundhog that I can link below if you're interested in that. So leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the pacing of this video. Did you think it was too fast, too slow? I would love to improve with your guys' feedback. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.